오늘은 비백 라마스와미의 사이다 발언들을 가져왔는데요. 비백은 인도계 미국인으로 2024년 공화당 대통령 후보 경선 기간 동안 유명세를 얻은 기업가이자 작가입니다. 주류 언론의 위선과 편향성을 직설적으로 꼬집는 비백의 발언, 같이 보겠습니다. 첫 번째는 비백이 공화당 경선 토론에서 했던 발언인데요. 사회를 보던 MBC 소속 진행자들을 제대로 저격했습니다.
Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. Do you think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made-up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie.
두 번째는 비백한테 프레임을 씌우려고 하는 워싱턴 포스트 기자를 상대해주는 영상입니다.
White supremacy and white nationalism.
I mean, what this kind? Who are you with? It's Washington Post. All right, so of course I condemn any form of vicious racial discrimination in this country, but I think that the presumption of your question is fundamentally based on a falsehood that really is the main form of racial discrimination we see in this country today. Institutionalized racism is institutionalized racial discrimination that we see that doesn't come from somehow discriminating against people on the basis of some tenet of white supremacy. It's based on affirmative action. It's based on actually discriminating against people on the color of their skin in a way that's actually institutionalized today. Was there a point in our history, at points in our prior national history, where there have been vicious forms of anti-black or anti-brown discrimination throughout this country after the Civil War and otherwise? Yes. But you're looking in the rearview mirror and using that to pose a question today that is so far removed from what the reality is in America today. And so stop picking on this farce of some figment that exists at some infinitesimally small fringe of the American public today to open our eyes to the actual real threats that we face. And I think that it's frankly questions and framings like that that has caused the American public to lose all trust in the mainstream media, I'm sorry to say, for good reason.
이렇게 열심히 답변해줬는데 질문한 기자가 추가 질문을 하는데요. 이미 기자의 의도를 파악하고 있던 비백은 오히려 언론이 책임을 져야 한다고 하면서 그냥 압살해버립니다.
You didn't say that you condemn white supremacy.
I'm not going to recite some catechism for you. I'm against vicious racial discrimination in this country. So I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion of modern wokeism, which actually fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. You want to know what the best way is to end discrimination on the basis of race? Stop discriminating on the basis of race. Do that and we're going to move this country forward. And I don't care whether you're black or white or brown or anything in between. That's how we're going to unite this country. You people have been responsible for dividing this country to a breaking point, creating a projection of national division. I meet people from the south side of Chicago to meetings like this one of every shade of melanin, multiple, from man to woman, doesn't make a difference, who are hungry for reviving unity in this country. And you, with your catechism that you try to get to politicians to whatever fake headline you're going to print on the basis of this conversation tomorrow, that's what's dividing this country to a breaking point. Shame on you. Look people in the eye and tell them what you've actually failed to tell them for the last 5 years. Own the accountability for your own failures as the media. That's how we rebuild trust in this country. And until then, I don't have a lot of patience to play the games.
What do you expect from
다음은 MBC 기자들한테 언론에 대한 국민들의 깨진 신뢰를 회복해야 한다고 말하는 비백입니다.
One more thing I would say I'm looking forward to is I want to have a conversation, because the historical pattern with the media is lie, lie, lie again. When proven to have lied, hide from accountability. From the Hunter Biden laptop story to the origin of COVID to the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that never was. I'm still waiting for one honest anchor in the mainstream media to just look their own audience in the eye and say, hey, I apologize. We lied to you, we got it wrong, and we'll never have this happen again. I challenge your guy, Alex, who likes to write, I would say clickbaity headlines to say at least you're from a new generation of leadership. Go ahead and step up, and maybe you can do it. Or maybe, Catherine, I bet on you sooner to do it. But somebody needs to actually, from the next generation, heal that divide of trust between the media and the people.
다음은 MBC와의 인터뷰 영상인데요. 자꾸 비백이 인종차별이 문제라는 걸 인정하지 않는다는 식으로 얘기하는 진행자의 말을 맞받아칩니다.
I think I will be
But
better
you're denying that racism is a
I've
problem.
never denied that racism is a problem. Racism has been a major problem for most of our national history. But we're getting close to the promised land that Martin Luther King envisioned. We're as darn close to it as we ever have been. And so what bothers the heck out of me is it's right when we're close to that promised land. I think it desecrates the legacy of our civil rights movement, desecrates the legacy of Martin Luther King, that right when we get closest to the point of having racial equality and gender equality and even opportunities for people of minorities of many types, are we perfect? No. But are we as close as we've ever been? Yes, we have. To then obsess over systemic racism, to then obsess over white guilt and otherwise, we're creating new waves of racism, Dasha, that we otherwise would have avoided right when we're closest to having achieved what even the proponents of the civil rights movement would have dreamed of. That's what bothers me.
그렇다면 정말 제대로 된 질문, 중요한 질문을 하는 기자한테 비백은 어떻게 답변할까요?
What's your thoughts on BRICS as a global organization and the U.S. dollar losing its value, being backed by basically nothing? How do you integrate?
I'm sorry, sir. Intelligent questions are not allowed in these press gathers. You're only allowed to ask what is within the Overton window of established issues that do not matter to the future of this country. But you asked one that does matter to the future of our country. I'll address it anyway. So, BRICS refers to the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa alliance that, among other things, is establishing a currency backed by gold, a gold standard, to replace the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. This is a major problem for the United States. This will permanently increase our borrowing costs if the dollar is no longer the established currency, the established reserve currency of the world, especially at a time where we're $34 trillion in national debt, which isn't a great time to increase your native borrowing costs from the dollar no longer being the reserve currency. So, yes, actually, that does matter. The right way to deal with it, though, isn't to try to swat that down, but to increase the value proposition of the dollar itself by pegging the dollar to hard commodities. Single mandate for the Federal Reserve should be dollar stability.
마지막 영상입니다. 의견의 다름은 둘째치고 상대방에 대한 존중 없이 무례하게 발언하는 사람들을 비백은 어떻게 상대할까요? 2024년 선거 유세 때 비백이 아이오와주에서 열었던 타운홀 미팅 영상입니다.
But you lie, dude. You're a liar.
Thank-
you lie about
thank-
the reality of climate change. You lie. You're lying to everybody in this room right now.
Sir, we're going to make a deal. You know what we're doing in this country? This is the beauty of the United States of America right here.
You are lying.
And you know what we're not going to do? I'm going to tell you, for those of you who watch the videos today, we're not going to have a security guard or police officer tackle him and escort him out of the room. Because that's not how we do things in the United States. You know what we're going to do is we're going to give, young man, you know what? You're going to have a chance to speak, but you're going to have a chance to speak after you sit down and be respectful of everybody else in this room. And I'm going to give you a chance to speak.
You need to respect everybody in this room and quit lying.
Thank you.
Americans the truth. Showed up and ate. Tell Americans the truth.
Sir, you can, I see
How
your,
much did you get
and
from fossil fuels, dude?
we're going to have a good discussion today. I promise you that, because I'm going to speak some.
$50 million.
Thank you. See, I promise you, sir. I promise you, sir. You're undermining the only point you want to make, and I'm going to give you a better chance in a moment if you sit down and actually be respectful of everybody else in here. But there's a free. You want to come up right here? Come on up, buddy. Come on up.
이렇게 상황이 마무리되려던 찰나 맨 앞줄에 앉아있던 다른 사람이 언성을 높이며 일어나는데요.
Come on up and have a seat.
You're on this woman, you say that you care about our future
Thank
and
you.
that little girl's future. How
Yes.
much money would it cost for you to actually care about us? You're running a company that's making money off of fossil fuels that are killing our communities.
If you want to have a seat and we can have a respectful discussion, we can do that. But if you're not going to have a respectful discussion, there's not going to be doing
How much money
it.
do you
So
get from fossil fuels?
I don't get any money from fossil fuels. You know who's my biggest donor?
That's not true.
That's actually absolutely true.
Your company Strive owns $50 million in fossil fuels.
Because index funds of every American in this room does, and we deserve to be proud of it.
That's
And I
not true.
refuse.
Your company invests-
You're a
Excuse me.
liar.
Excuse me, sir.
Lying to us.
Excuse me, sir. This isn't productive. This isn't productive. And this is what's wrong in our country. What's right in our country is we have the right of free speech and open debate. But we have a generation in this country where we have taught that the way you're supposed to win a debate or otherwise isn't based on region or merit, but to actually just shout the other side down. We don't do that in this country. The way we do things in the United States of America is we engage in free speech and open debate on the merits. We decided at the ballot box where every person's voice and vote counts equally. We don't shout each other down. So we're going to have a respectful conversation. We're going to open this up, but we're going to speak the hard truth.
재밌게 보셨다면 좋아요, 구독, 알림 설정 눌러주세요.